107 days from the start of college football being back in session, and there's plenty of excitement to roll around. Can Georgia get back on top? Is there a chance for a down year for Michigan? What else is there in the world of college football? But since College Game Day just announced their location of where they're going to be for week one of the college football season, it's time to preview some of week one's biggest games a couple months early. Why not? Got nothing else to do. Thank you guys for tuning in to SEC Unfiltered. I'm Lucas Hill. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's going to be a great episode. Please consider liking, subscribing, and follow us on every social media platform to get more from the best SEC entity on the internet. This is brought to you by our good friends over at MYBOOKIE. With the NBA playoffs heating up, it's the perfect time to elevate your game with MYBOOKIE. You can bet from anywhere, anytime, so you never miss a shot to cash in on a play. MYBOOKIE makes it really easy to get paid with tons of boosted props and slam dunk parlays, and new boosts are now posted on the daily. Give yourself a head start today and play with house money using code SECU when you make your first deposit. That's SECU to claim a limited time bonus when you sign up and make your first deposit. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MYBOOKIE. Must be 18 years old to purchase. Not available in all states. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-GAMBLER. Let's get into this, ladies and gentlemen. Today we got to start off with, obviously, where is College Game Day headed? They're heading to College Station. I just released my article, and I previewed that game. You can check it out on SECUnfiltered.com. College Game Day is headed out to College Station. Texas A&M, Notre Dame in prime time. Should be an interesting game, honestly. And when I look at what Texas A&M brings to the table, there's a lot to look forward to if you're an Aggie fan. When you look at what you got in the head coach in Mike Elko, you're getting a defensive mastermind. Here's a guy that last year at Duke was a top 50 defense after they were in the basement of the ACC and were a joke for many years. And you saw how they performed against top offenses. You saw how they performed against Clemson early on against Florida State when they shut down Jordan Travis. And you saw how dominant this defense really was. Remember, they were a 4th and 16 away from upsetting the Irish last year against Marcus Freeman. It'll be Elko against Freeman, part 2. It'll be Connor Weigman, who could be a dark horse for the Heisman Trophy, against Riley Leonard, with his new offensive coordinator in Mike Denbrock, who made help Jaden Daniels elevate his game to being the Heisman Trophy winner that he was last year. Now, I'm not saying Riley Leonard will be a Heisman Trophy finalist. That's not even close to being in discussion. He could be, but he will definitely help elevate Leonard's game to a whole new level going into next year. And then when you look overall, Notre Dame's defense going up against Texas A&M's offense will be a lot of fun to look forward to. There's a lot of talent on both sides of the ball, and this could make or break both teams' season. If the winner of this game will likely go on to have a very successful year, meanwhile, the other may not meet expectations. For Texas A&M, is there a lot of expectation going into this game? Maybe, because of the amount of talent that you have. When you have a guy like Connor Weigman, when you have a backfield tandem in Le'Veon Moss and Amari Daniels, there's so much talent on that offensive side of the ball. You just need that defense to also step up. You got Nick Scourton from Purdue, big addition to that defensive line. Definitely somebody that can help out with Mike Elko's defense as well. So you're getting a big-time guy when you got him from the portal and going up against a Notre Dame offensive line that'll be revamped and lost Joe Alt to the draft. They'll have a brand-new left tackle. Could be an experience going up against a veteran in Scourton. That's going to be a matchup that people need to look out for going into week one. Another game that is really, really interesting going into this one, Georgia going up against Clemson. Cade Klubnik against Carson Beck. It's going to be very fun to watch. I think that one's going to be in Georgia, I believe. So that'll be a neutral site for them, but not too far from Athens. According to some people, this is going to be Georgia's toughest schedule ever. So when I look at their schedule, It's a lot. There's no doubt about it. You start off obviously with Clemson, who could be at least a top 20 team going into this year. You're at Kentucky, at Alabama. You get Auburn, who played you close last year. You're at Texas in Austin. That'll be a fun one. Obviously, the cocktail party. At Ole Miss, you play Tennessee, who has had close encounters with them the last couple of years. And then you play Georgia Tech, who you kind of played down to them last year as well. So this is going to be a schedule to look forward to, but knowing the type of talent that Georgia brings back, when you got guys like Carson Beck, Trevor Etienne, Ellis Robinson, who could be the best young safety in all of college football. You get Thomas from the portal. There's no question in my mind that Thomas is going to have a big year this year. I think he could be Beck's biggest target this year. Also with Dominic Lovett, you get Oscar Delp, who could be another great star. He's not going to be like how Brock Bowers was the last 2 years, but he's going to be a capable blocking tight end, excellent pass catcher out of the backfield. You can get him out on third and fourth down and short, slip him out on a little out pattern. You can get him the football any day of the week. So Clemson's defense is also going to be revamped. You got Georgia's offensive line that lost some talent, but man, there's no doubt in my mind that this defense is just way too powerful. You get Nazir Stackhouse, Malachi Starks, who's an All-American. Stackhouse could be an All-American this year as well. You get Michael Williams, who could be a top draft pick next year. You get Andre Evans. I already talked about Ellis Robinson going up against Clemson's inexperienced offense. Now, I know Will Shipley went off to the NFL draft, but you do also return if you're Clemson. You got Phil Maffa, who's a 1,000-yard back, very powerful back in the backfield, guy that can easily get you 1,000 yards any season. He's a 100-yard back, downhill power, very, very big in the legs. Amazing talent for him, but this Georgia defensive line is just too good to allow him to run over them. And I think this is going to be Georgia's favored by 12.5, and I think they're going to go over that. I think this is at least a 17-point win and a statement win for Kirby Smart and company that says we're the number one team going into this year, and we're going to stay the number one team for as long as possible. So some other games that you guys need to look out for. I think I'm going to be biased, and I think South Carolina is kind of on upset alert. But, I mean, when I look at Old Dominion and what they've done, I know they've only played – the biggest upsets they've had is against the ACC, and with a young, inexperienced team that South Carolina returns could spell disaster, could potentially smell an upset coming. Especially with how Old Dominion has gone from being one of the worst teams in all of college football. And this is a team that last year went to a bowl game. They played in the Toastery Bowl, and they also got some pretty notable close wins, close losses. Barely lost to James Madison last year, beat a very good UL team last year, kept it close with Virginia Tech. But I don't know yet. I mean, this is still a young team. I think that, South Carolina should win this game, but don't be surprised if you see them on upset alert. Don't be surprised if an upset does occur, but all likelihood it's not even going to happen. So we'll see how Lenore Sellers performs in his first game of the year. Here's a game that people need to look out for. Miami against Florida. This is Billy Napier's make or break year. If you come out and lay a goose egg to start the season and lose to your in-state rival, this is just going to be the start of a bad year for Florida. And when you look at the talent that is on this team, when you bring back a young guy in Graham Mertz, who should be one of the SEC's best quarterbacks, he's not going to be like Carson Beck or Jalen Milroe, or maybe even Garrett Nussmeier. but he's going to be one of the most efficient quarterbacks in all the SEC, and there's no doubt in my mind that he has an opportunity to do a lot more than that. But at the same time, when I see the breakdown that you saw from this Florida defense last year, it's a lot that needs to be addressed. There's a lot that really is concerning about this team. And there's so much that we don't know yet from this Florida team going into this year because they're so young and they're inexperienced. You lost a lot of firepower to the portal. And we'll see what is the appropriate record for Billy Napier to stay in Gainesville. Is it 6-6? Is it 7-5? Is it just making a bowl game? But it starts with week 1. If you can defeat your in-state rivals, the fan base will be a lot happier. The boosters will be happier. The school will be happier. So it gives you that opportunity to maybe start off with a good stretch going into the rest of the year. But you never know what's going to happen with this Florida team. There's a lot that is kind of concerning. There's a lot that people may not understand when it comes to Florida. But make no mistake about it, that this is a make or break game for Billy Napier and company. If you lose to Miami, first game of the year, your job is done. You may not even last the entire year. You may get fired at some point this season if you lose week 1 to your rivals. It's unacceptable, especially in the state of Florida, to lose to that. I'm sorry, it just is. So another game that, and this will be the last one that we do, the last game that I think that should be the best, that may be like second or third best of the season, is going to be LSU and USC. Garrett Nussmeier's first start of his career. How does he do? How will this LSU offense perform in week 1 against a very good USC team that does bring back some firepower? Remember, this is a team that, despite losing the number 1 pick in the NFL draft, they still have a lot of big-time guys that should be difference makers for this team. When I look overall at what LSU brings, yes, they bring back Garrett Nussmeier. They also bring back Kyron Lacey, who should be wide receiver 1 this year. They have Aaron Anderson, who should elevate his game going into this year. But there's problems. The interior of this defense is still depleted. Brian Kelly went out and said, we're not going to pay for players, especially when you try to get a guy like Dominic Williams from TCU who wanted over $1 million to come there. No. You can't afford that. There's no point in trying to afford that. It's ridiculous. But at the same time, you're still leaving with the only experienced guy that comes back is Jaquelin Roy, who does have a lot of potential, but he's not a Mason Smith or a Jordan Jefferson. USC's offense is loaded. You still get Miller Moss back, who could be a very good firepower weapon going up against a slightly young secondary that has still yet a lot to prove. You got Major Burns back. You got Zy Alexander back, who should be much better from injury. Going up against a guy like Zachariah Branch, who last year shined on special teams as a freshman. Other than that, not a whole lot. You also have Deuce Robinson on the outside. Kamari Ramsey is a great cover corner who will only get better as the summer goes along and going into fall camp. He could be a guy that's going to cover Lacey one-on-one on the outside. Do I think Lacey has the advantage to get the best of him? Yes. But we'll see how this LSU offense performs, who their biggest asset is their offensive line. USC's defensive line is at a disadvantage at this point. But this could get very much so out of hand if Blake Baker's defense gives up a few big plays here and there, and this could turn into a track meet. But overall, I do think LSU comes out with a win, and you're just going to keep building off of that win. And I think this will be their first opening day win for the Tigers since 2019. Been a while since LSU has won their opening game of the season. Last time they did, they won a title. There's no telling what could happen this year. Do I think they'll win a national title this year? No. College football playoff is definitely in the picture, though. So a lot of expectations going into week one that could set the stage for what could be a fantastic season in 2024.